Hello everyone, this is Sultan, and in this video we are going to see how to deploy a Express API or an app as an AWS Lambda function. As you can see, these are some of the functions which I have already deployed as a Lambda function. Let me just go inside this. This is a function which we are going to see in this video. So let it just load for a minute. So this is the function. Just as you can see, this is a simple get request and too much zoom. So this has a simple get and a post request. So if we can test this function just by calling its URL to get. And by the way, guys, you will see this screen in your AWS console after deploying your function. I just want you to see what we are going to develop. So let me just make a call to this URL to see how our function works. So this is our AWS functions URL. So if we just call this function, just take away this proxy away. So this is the root request, and as you can see, the get request, the root request just prints a hello world, and there is another root just prints the time right now. So if I call with the URL and with the time, it just prints the current time right now. Okay, and also guys, in this video I'm not going to teach you how to actually develop an Express API. I hope you guys already know how to do that. Rather, in this video we are going to fully concentrate on how to actually deploy an Express API. Okay, so let me open my VS Code editor. I think this is the one. So as you can see, this is a very simple Express API, as you saw earlier on my Lambda function. Just the root request just prints the hello world, the time, the get request to that time just prints the time right now, and the post request with the log this, when the body with the name just prints prints in your console my name is and whatever your name is, and it also sends the same thing as a response. So let me just so if you want to see, this is a very simple Express API. This just has only one dependency, just Express API. I mean Express module. So let us just test this function by just installing npm install and just start our function with npm start. Okay, I will just open my Postman and just to test this post request to the log this. Oh, I don't have my Postman open, so let me just open my Postman. So here guys, I have my Postman opened. So let me just call this URL localhost 8000. So a simple get request to localhost 8000 should print a hello world message. Yes, on this prints a hello world message, and let me just make a post request to log this with the body name. So like the header should be like content type should be JSON, and the body should be like name and this print Sultan. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is a post request. I just made a get request and send again. So this just prints the name as we have made here. So the function is working pretty cool. So let us just start with actually deploying this function in our AWS Lambda. So guys, in order to deploy the function, the first thing you need to do is to download and install, download, install and configure AWS CLI in your local machine. In order to do that, you just open your browser, just type in Google AWS CLI. I hope the first URL you'll see is the link to download the AWS CLI. So depending on your OS, you can install AWS CLI. So I'm just using Windows OS, so I think I already have it installed in my system. Um, Downloads. As you can see in Windows, you will just have installer like AWS CLI, which I have over here. So we will have a AWS CLI in order to after just as it's just a simple installation. After installing it, you can open your command prompt and type AWS version. I'm so sorry, it's not the correct one. It's AWS version. So this is the current version which I'm running. You can confirm your installation by just running this command. So after installing AWS CLI, the next thing you need to do is you need to configure your AWS CLI in your local machine by just by entering your AWS credentials. In order to get your AWS credentials, log into your management console, click the drop down near your username and click my security credentials over here. So after you click that, um, in this screen you need to click access keys, access key ID. So these are some of the keys which I already deleted. So just create a new key and download your key file. In your key file you will have your access key and a secret key. Okay, so guys, this is going to be your AWS access key and your secret key. Just need to open your command prompt and just configure your AWS CLI by just entering AWS configure. So in AWS access key, you just enter your access keys, and the next thing it will ask you your secret key. Just copy and paste your secret key and the default region name. This is the region in which you want to deploy your function. So this is going to be um, the region which you want to deploy. Like if you make a deployment to some, like if you configure it some other region and in your deployment code you just make some other region, it won't deploy. Okay, so you need to make sure that you give the intended region in the console, like when you configure. So the region which I'm going to deploy is going to be US East 1, and you can find that in the URL over here. So US East 1 is what I'm going to give. So I think I already gave it. So if you want to override it with something else, you can just copy and paste whatever region you want, and the default output format is going to be JSON. Okay, so that's all guys, we just configured our AWS CLI in our local machine. So guys, after configuring our AWS CLI in our local machine, the next thing we need to do is install two npm modules. The first thing is going to be AWS Serverless Express. So this is a npm module which we need to install. So just copy and paste this. npm install AWS Serverless Express. And the next thing is going to be something like serverless. So this is the homepage of the serverless. This is the documentation if you want to know more about this. So this is something if you have heard about this term like infrastructure as a code. So this is where we specify what type of Lambda function we want. Let me just zoom this. So we are not going to write every single thing over here. We will just make a minimal configuration of our AWS Lambda. If you want to know more, I have my Git repository over here, and this is something which we'll be creating in a moment. This is going to be a very minimal configuration of our Lambda. Okay, now let us just install this also in our module. So we can install serverless as a dev dependency. Okay, so it's npm install serverless, and it's there. Oops, so the dev should come before it. So guys, we have all our npm packages installed, and the next thing we need to do is create something called a lambda.js file. um, JS. So this is going to be the file which will get called when your request is made to your Lambda function URL. So this is going to be just a boilerplate code. You can get this code from the URL which you downloaded the AWS serverless Lambda function from. So this is the AWS serverless Express npm package, and if you go here you can find some boilerplate code in order to configure your lambda.js file. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste over here. So this is the file which will get called up when your request is made to your URL, and this eventually calls our app.js file, as you can see over here. Okay, so let me just save this file, and then so after creating our lambda.js file, the next thing which we need to do is create something called serverless.yaml file. Serverless.yaml. So in this file, we will give the minimal configuration on how we want our Lambda server to be. So in order to do this, the first command is going to be like the name of our server. I mean like the name of our Lambda function. So this is going to be like service, and the name I will just give the same name as AWS tutorial. Okay, so the next thing is going to be some configuration based on our provider. So the provider is going to obviously be AWS. So provider is the name, and the name is going to be AWS. The next thing is going to be our runtime, whether it's Python or Node.js or whatever it's going to be. So in our case, it is going to be Node.js, so it's going to be runtime and Node.js with the version. So guys, I just tried this with the version 12, but it just didn't work for me, so I just give version 10. Okay, so the memory, the next thing is going to be the memory, the amount of RAM which we're going to use. By the way guys, you can also edit this thing after you just deploy the function in the Lambda console. If you go down, you can just see just change our RAM over here, and you can also give some environment variables somewhere over here. I just don't know where is it. Yes, here you can also just configure environment variables for your function. Just change the amount of RAM you want. So everything is can also be edited in your console. So the first thing, we will just make some minimal configuration over here in order to just deploy it. So the next thing is going to be, like as I said, it's going to be memory size. Memory size will just give 512, and timeout is going to be like 15 seconds, and the staging is going to be like, so the stage is going to be based on your testing or production or development or whatever it's going to be based on your case. So I'll just give production for myself, and the region is going to be like the US East one. So as you remember guys, this is the region which we just configured on our AWS CLI. So if you change this region over here and you just give some other region in your AWS CLI, this thing will not deploy. Okay, so just make sure that you make correct configuration on our YAML file. So the next thing is going to be like for our function. Function is going to be like API. The reason why we are giving API is because AWS Lambda function don't work with themselves. They will work with something called API gateway. So through this service of AWS, we will be accessing our AWS Lambda function. So that is why we need to configure something called an API. So it's going to be like handler. It's going to be like, so guys, if you want to know more about this, like lambda.handler is because in our lambda.js file we have exported something called handler. So if you just give some other name over here, your function is not going to work. So just make sure that the serverless handler over here and what you are exporting are the same. Okay, so the next thing is events. So just some HTTP calls. So we're just configuring that we're going to access anything after the root URL. Okay, so that's all guys. We configure our serverless YAML file and our lambda.js file, and let us just deploy this. You can deploy this using two commands. The first thing is, which can be like serverless and deploy, or you can add this. What I like to do is just add this in my package.json file and just add a new script called deploy, so that you can, the next time you want to deploy, just type npm run deploy. So the function, the command is going to be like serverless deploy. So instead of calling serverless deploy every single time, you can now just, I'm sorry, just didn't save this file. So npm run deploy. By the way guys, I can assure you this will take a much longer time than you just expected. So what this command will do is just it will just create something called a .serverless file which you can ignore. You just make a git ignore of this file. Okay, I will just show you like dot git ignore and just ignore this serverless. And the reason is because this is going to be something a big file, so you just don't want to commit this every single time when you just make a push to your git repository. So just wait for your serverless package to package serverless thing and deploy. And after deploying this will give you a URL to your function, which you can use to call your function. So guys, I'm back. So we have our function successfully deployed. So if you want to test our function, we can just copy this URL from here and open our browser, and it should print hello world. Oops, we have a server warning. Why is that? So this is our lambda function console. If you can see, we will have a third function deployed. So this is the function which we have deployed here. So guys, if you want to check about your lambda function and you want to know your console logs, what we can do is you can go to your lambda function console and just click the function you want and just go to monitoring. And if you go to monitoring, you can have a button over here called view logs and CloudWatch. If you click that, you can watch the console logs of your function. So let me just go and check why I'm receiving an error. So this is going to be like, I don't know why. So what is that? Oops, it's listening on localhost 8000. So sorry guys, I just didn't I forgot to edit this. So in our app.js file, what we need to exactly do is that we should be omitting this thing and we should be exporting our app.js file, because because we are importing our app.js file in our Lambda function, and our app.js file should be exporting something. So what we need to do is something like module.exports. So we need to redeploy our function. So it's going to be like, say we don't need this port anymore, and click npm and deploy. So again, I need to pause my video because it just takes a lot of time to deploy this. So guys, I just had my function deployed, and another thing I just noted is that I have installed serverless as a main dependency. You don't need to do that. You just have to install this as a dev dependency, because um the dev dependencies are going to be omitted when the serverless just packages, and so that your bundle sizes are going to be far more less if you omit dev dependencies. So in order to do that, just make dev. I think this is the right spelling. I'm just horrible with spellings. So just copy and paste this. So format this thing. Cool. So just make sure that you install serverless as a dev dependencies, because serverless package is going to be very big one, and it will just take a lot of time in order to upload. Okay, so we just made this a dev dependency. So okay, that's all. We can just go and test our function. Copy and paste. Cool. And they should print hello world. Like, come on. Oh, cool. We have hello world, and we can also just test our post request by using Postman. Open Postman, and just so guys, this is the same which I used for making the local request. So it should also print Sultan. Why? So okay, so yeah, just, we need to make the request to log this. Log this. The reason is because we have to make a post request to log this with the function body, and it should print Sultan. So whatever your name is, John. I'm like John. Come on, man, John. Okay, guys, we have all function working, which is pretty awesome. We can also make a time request. Cool, isn't it? So guys, that's all for this video. If you want to know more, you can just go to serverless documentations in order to know what all the things you can configure. And if you want just have my code, you can grab this thing in my GitHub URL. I will just leave a link to this URL in the description of this video, so you can just clone this repo. Okay, thank you for watching this video, guys. Like and subscribe if you want to. Thank you.